Good evening. My name is Bob Connors. It is 6 o'clock p.m. I'd like to call the September 19th meeting of the Newbury Conservation Commission to order. Sam, can you read the remote open meeting law preamble? Take a roll call vote of the members present.
All right. All right, as a preliminary matter, my name is Samantha Holt, Town Staff Conservation Agent for the Newbury Conservation Commission. Permit me to confirm that all members are present and can hear me. Conservation Commission members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Bob Connors.
Yes.
Brad Duffin.
Yes.
Diane O'Brien.
Yes.
Mary Rimmer is not here. Mick Brown.
Yes.
And it does not look like TJ is in yet, and Woody is going to be late. All right, good evening. This September 19th, 2023 open meeting of the Newbury Conservation Commission is being conducted remotely, consistent with the act relative to extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency, which extends the governor's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law until March 31st, 2025. This order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location and allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely, so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with deliberations at this meeting. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and that attendees are participating by video and/or telephone conference, and the recording will be available on the Newbury Access YouTube channel. Meeting materials were provided to the commission members prior to the meeting for review and were posted to the Conservation Commission webpage for public access. Before we turn to the first item on the agenda, permit me to cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. Looks like we have Mary coming in right now. All right, the chair will introduce each speaker on the agenda. Proponents will be given 10 minutes to present. More time may be allowed at the discretion of the chair. After they can conclude their remarks, we will go down the list of commission members, inviting each by name to provide any comment, questions, or motions. Please hold until your name is called. Further, for all attendees except commission members and staff, please remember to mute your computer using the mute button or your phone using *6 to toggle mute and unmute when you are not speaking. Please remember to speak clearly in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. Please be aware that video conference participants can see you and that you should take care not to screen share your computer unless you've been allowed to do so. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. For any responses, please wait until the floor is yielded to you and state your name before speaking. If commission members wish to engage in discussion with other members, please do so through the chair, taking care to identify yourself when you wish to speak. There will be an opportunity for public comment and questions during public hearings. After commission members have spoken, we will afford the public an opportunity to comment and/or ask questions as follows. I will seek questions and comments at the appropriate time through the Zoom raise hand function. For video conference participants, to raise your hand, hover over the bottom of the Zoom window below the photo gallery and click on the yellow hand that appears. If you don't see a yellow hand, click on the participants button. The list of participants will open on display on the right. At the bottom of this participant area, you will see an option to click on the raise hand button. Please ensure your name is fully and correctly displayed on the participant list. You may rename yourself using the More function next to your name. For telephone participants, to raise your hand in a Zoom meeting, hit *9 on your phone's keypad. We will then allow questions and comments from members of the public who have raised their hand in the order in which they appear on my screen based on when the function was selected. Each participant will be called upon to provide their name or address or affiliation and will be afforded 3 minutes to make comments. More time may be allowed at the discretion of the chair. The proponent or commission members will have the opportunity to reply as needed. Your hand will be lowered when you've been given the floor for your questions. We will then continue down the list of those in the raise hand column and again afford time for responses as needed. All participants are reminded that only matters which fall into the jurisdiction of the Conservation Commission may be discussed. The chat feature has been disabled for this meeting. Everyone is expected to conduct themselves in the same manner they would at an in-person meeting. Disruptions that impede operations of this commission will be addressed once by the chair and should be acknowledged by the disruptor. Further disruptions may result in complete removal from the meeting with no readmittance. Vulgar or obscene actions or comments will result in immediate removal from the meeting with no readmittance. And finally, each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by a roll call vote. And we do have Mary has joined in, as has TJ. It does not look like we have Woody yet.
Okay. All right. Good evening, everyone. We're going to be going into executive session for the first 10 minutes of this meeting. So I'm going to read this preamble. Pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 30A, Section 21A-3, and subject to the chair's declaration, to go into executive session to discuss strategy with respect to the matter of DEP protection, Department of Environmental Protection, and Cricket Lane LLC superseding order of conditions. DEP file number 0501355 for 55 R. Pearson Lane litigation. The commission will return to this meeting in approximately 10 minutes. So, team, what's going to happen is Sam is going to remove everyone that's on the meeting to our to the waiting room, and then when we go back into public session, you'll be readmitted. Sam, anything you want to add to that before we, Mary?
Um,
I just need to abstain from the executive session since this was a project I couldn't participate in
Okay,
previously. So please add me to the waiting
Yeah.
room.
okay.
And I just, we do have one member of the public that just joined the meeting. It looks like whoever that is, it looks like you missed what we just said. So I just want to reiterate, we're going into an executive session. It's for a litigation project or for a project under litigation. So we have to remove all of the members of the public to the waiting room. You're not being kicked out of the meeting entirely. We're just putting you in the waiting room while we do our executive session. It's not a public part of the meeting. We're going to leave you in the waiting room for about 10 minutes. Once we're finished with our discussion, I'm going to readmit everybody from the waiting room back into the meeting, and we're going to continue on with all of the public aspects of the meeting.
Okay, thank you, Sam.
Thanks, Sam.
Let's start doing that.
Good evening, Brian.
Gonna take me a quick second, so.
Hi, Bob. Evening.
I didn't just kick Brian out, did I?
No, I still see him.
I see him.
Sorry, you disappeared for a second and I couldn't figure out where you went.
You know, the squares always bounce around. It's hard to keep track.
Oh, Mary's gonna be the last to go.
Right, send you away.
Okay,
Add Brian, and give me 1 second. I'm gonna pause the recording.
Yes.
you'll be moving me out to the waiting room.
All right, so everybody should be coming back in now. We'll add Mary back into our group, and we do have the recording back started again, so we are good to go.
Okay, well, thank you, everyone. Thank you for your patience. So we're back on for the public portion of our meeting. Upcoming meeting dates, October 3rd and October 17th. Okay, first matter before the commission is a certificate of compliance for 313 Newburyport Turnpike Governor's Academy for work to construct a pier and a floating dock. Sam, can you provide an overview and a recommendation?
Yep, so this one was, I can't remember exactly when it was originally approved, when the order conditions was originally approved, but last year we got a amendment request for this one to just kind of reconfigure the construction design and stuff for the dock, and everything was completed. I've been out to the site several times for this project and some of the other stuff that's going on out there. I went out again this morning just to take a very specific look at the dock itself. Not much changed from the original approved, or the approved amendment site plans. My apologies. One of the only things that changed in any, I guess, sort of significant way is that the elevated portion of the actual, like the pier base itself, is a couple inches wider. Not by that much. It was approved at 8 feet, and I think it was constructed at 8 feet 8 inches. But nothing that's actually touching the ground is any wider. It's just the pretty much just the decking that's elevated is a little bit wider, but nothing that appears to have any impact on ground impact or anything like that. Nothing that appears to have changed any compliance with performance standards and things like that. So the whole project looks really good. Everything's been completed. And my recommendation would be for a complete certificate. And we do have we do have the as-built plans for it, the finished plans for it.
Okay.
And Woody Knight just joined us as well.
Hey, good evening, Woody. We're literally just back from executive session. We're on the first public matter, which is a certificate of compliance for the Governor's Academy. Sam
Okay,
just gave
so-
us an overview and a recommendation, and I'm about to ask Tom Woodruff if he wants to add to Sam's presentation or just answer questions from the members.
Okay, thank you, Bob. I'm sorry for my tardiness.
No, Woody, it's. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Thanks, Sam, and commission members. I don't really have anything to add. I think as outlined in the letter from Collins Engineering, the width was increased by 8 inches to accommodate the steel structure underneath the way it was laid out. And also we added a gate for security reasons. That was the only other change that you should be aware of. And aside from that, construction went well. I think the banks stabilized quite well. And that's about it. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay, why don't I open up the questions to the members? Mary, any questions for Tom on this matter?
And no, I was gonna ask if there was an as-built plan. It sounds like there is, and it's been looked at, and there was a letter with it, which I was gonna be my next question. So I think that the 8-inch change is, given the project is probably pretty minor, so I'm fine.
Okay, thank you, Mary. Woody, any questions for Tom on this one?
Just to comment that it looks good from the road on the river there, and I'm also glad to hear that a gate was put up because, you know, people trespassing at night and stuff who try and deter them from getting on the dock at night. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Woody. Brad, any comments or questions for Tom on this?
All good, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Brad. Mick, any comments or questions?
No questions, no comments, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Mick. TJ, how about yourself? Any questions for Tom?
All set.
And Diane, any questions for Tom on this matter?
No, thank you.
Okay, and I do not have any questions. Sam, any raised hands from the public at this time on this matter that you see?
Not that I can see.
Okay. All right. Is there a motion to issue a certificate of compliance for 313 Newburyport Turnpike?
So moved.
So moved.
Do we have
Second,
a second? Okay, roll call vote. All in favor? Say aye. Mary,
Aye.
TJ,
Aye.
Woody,
Aye.
Brad,
Aye.
Mick,
Aye.
Diane,
yes.
and Bob Connors votes yes. Thank you, Tom. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, the next matter is an enforcement order for 42B Cottage Road. Sam, can you provide an update and an overview on this one and a recommendation?
Yes. All right. So just in case you guys don't remember this one, this was a incident or an issue of a dock that was it was originally approved. It was an approved installation. The person who just purchased the property or that currently owns the property replaced some of the decking and everything. The posts that were originally placed were the ones that were used, but part of the deck system got widened down towards the closer to the river, basically to create kind of like a patio area. It was not an approved widening of the deck area, so an enforcement order was issued. The property owner, Mr. Bowditch, is working with Tom Hughes on this one. I heard from Tom. Basically, kind of the situation that we're in right now is that the deck and the house construction were both approved under a superseding order from DEP. So the actual order of conditions itself isn't in our jurisdiction, but the enforcement issue is. So what we're dealing with right now is that the SOC has not been closed out. The certificate of compliance has not been issued for that. So essentially what Tom has proposed is to have Mr. Bowditch remove the widened decking and replace it back to what was originally approved so that they can get the SOC closed out. The deck that was actually replaced is a little bit higher than what was originally approved. So the height is a little bit more. There's more space underneath it, which is a good thing. Shouldn't be an issue as far as the certificate of compliance goes. But Tom has requested that we amend the enforcement order to mandate that patio area be narrowed back down to what was originally approved. And then they requested a 90-day, so to amend the enforcement order to mandate that work to be done and do a 90-day time frame for it. So from today, that would be December 19th would be the deadline to have that work done. And then he is anticipating that that's going to be done sooner, that it's not going to take the full 90 days. But the 90 days gives them a little bit of leeway time, especially with trying to get people out there to do the work. So amend the enforcement order for those things. And then once that is done, they can get that work done. And then they would be filing for the certificate of compliance. That would not be through us. We would get the notification for it, but we would not be the ones issuing it. That would have to come down from the state.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Sam. Questions? Mary, any questions on this one?
What is involved in what kind of, do they need to remove pilings or place
No.
pilings? Just
Nope, they shouldn't. Yeah, they shouldn't need to remove any of the pilings or anything. It should just be portions of the decking would be removed. The portions that are wider than they were supposed to be would be removed, and then the deck would be replaced back in the same area, just narrower to match the rest of the width.
okay, so then I would just recommend that in any amended enforcement order that we clarify what work is allowed and not allowed.
So specifically to clarify that the piling shouldn't be removed, just the decking.
Correct.
Okay.
As long as the pilings are where they were approved to be. Which
Yeah, and I believe they are. Tom did find, unfortunately, our records are very slim, but he was able to actually get the approved plan that's in the SOC from the person who originally did it. And while it's a pretty kind of slim plan, it's not great. He does believe that everything, aside from that widened area, everything is in place where it was originally approved.
Okay, anything else, Mary?
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Woody, any questions for Sam on this one?
No, I don't have any questions. Thank you, Bob.
Okay, thank you, Woody. Brad, how about you? Any questions?
Yes, yeah, Bob. I would agree with Mary to a point. I would amend the language to say adjust the as-built decking to comply with the original approval. I would not mention anything about pilings or anything like that. As long as that deck is constructed to what was originally approved, then I think that should be the limit of our enforcement order.
Okay, well, thank you, Brad. Mick, any comments on this one?
No, sir. Don't think I do. I think Marion, I covered it pretty good.
Okay. TJ, any questions on this one?
No others, no.
Okay, Diane, any questions?
I don't remember from our prior discussion that this had been previously approved. Did that just come up when Tom got involved?
I think I knew that it had been previously approved, but I didn't have any of the files. It might not have been mentioned. I might have forgotten to mention that, and if I did, I apologize.
No,
but it was so basically what had happened was the property that used to be entirely 42 Cottage Road was basically subdivided. They got the approval to construct a new house on 42B, and that house was constructed with the dock system.
And it included the fence. I know there was an issue with the
It
fence.
did not include the fence, but I actually don't think that the fence is going to be too much of an issue. I don't think that that actually has any, because it's open.
Right,
And it isn't, I mean, it's not like cutting off any habitat areas or anything like that. I think that might actually be, an exempt activity because it's so minor and it doesn't have any significant impact on any resources.
Yeah, I think there was like wire, but the wire's
Yeah.
open.
Yeah.
Okay,
anything else, Diane?
nope.
Okay, so just to do a recap, so Sam, we're looking for a motion to amend the existing enforcement order, one, to continue it for 90 days, and then two, to mandate the reduction of the patio area to previously approved size, or as Brad mentions, back to the originally approved superseding
Plan.
order. Mary, what's your thought on that? I mean, it's a plan.
Yeah, that sounds fine. I just don't want to authorize, it sounds like the order of conditions is probably expired, so they can only do the work under enforcement, right? So I just wanted to make sure that the work is just, if the work involves changes to piles, then we might want to put some additional special conditions on it. If it doesn't, then we don't really need them. So it sounds like it doesn't. So and if that's the case, I don't have any problem with how Brad has phrased it. That seems,
Would it help if I included language in that basically to say that it needs to be restored to what was originally approved, and that if for any reason anything needs to change, that before they do anything they have to come back in and discuss that with us and discuss that process, just to make sure that language covers everything.
Yeah,
Yep.
I mean,
I
just
think either way,
that-
they should notify us once they're done with the work.
Right.
So we can inspect it, and it should be done within, allow us time to be able to make that inspection within the 90 days.
So the enforcement order was for the expansion of the work that was done beyond the SOC.
Correct.
So we're asking them to comply with the original requirements of the SOC.
Yeah.
And if they change that, they may have to deal with the state anyway on that.
Yeah, that is true.
Okay, so I'll entertain a motion to amend the enforcement order, continuing it for 90 days, and to stipulate that the work shall comply with the original specifications of the SOC.
So moved.
Second,
Okay. Roll call vote. All those in favor say aye. Mary,
Aye.
TJ,
Aye.
Woody,
Aye.
Brad, Mickey,
Aye.
Diane,
yes.
and Bob Connors votes yes. All right, thank you. And now the next matter is a request for a determination of applicability for 105 Scotland Road for work to remove trees. Sam, can you provide an overview on this?
Yes, so this one, we discussed this one at our last meeting. There was a request for a site walk. Myself and Mary and Diane all went out and took a look at everything. We do have some additional, and I am now realizing that I never put those photos in the Dropbox, and I apologize. But we did get, basically we went out there and we took a look at all of the trees that were proposed to be removed. There were quite a few of them that actually aren't in jurisdictional areas, kind of on the upland side of the property. So those ones are going to be all set. I believe there was a total of 9 trees, maybe a few more. There were a total of 14, I believe, that were being proposed to be removed, and I think 4 or 5 of them were not in jurisdictional areas. So I might have my math backwards now. I can't really remember. I have the numbers and the pictures. So there were the trees that were proposed to be removed. I don't believe there were any that were actually in wetland areas. There might have been one that was, but it is it's very close. Most of them are all in areas that they do pose a threat to the house, and part of the issue that they're having right now as well is that because of the trees and because of the canopy cover, they're unfortunately having issues with rot and mold and moss and stuff growing on the house and the deck, which is causing pretty significant damage. So they are looking to remove these trees to hopefully open that canopy area up and prevent further damage in the future. One of the things that we did notice while we were out there is a shed that was constructed. It is new. It was not permitted. It is in buffer zone. However, the location of it's about 15, 20 feet away from the wetland line. And it is actually an elevated shed, kind of pretty much just the front couple feet is on the driveway. And everything else is up on, it's elevated up on cinder blocks, where it goes down into the closer towards the buffer zone. So when we were out there, we had, Mary had mentioned that we could potentially look at doing basically an after the fact approval added into the RDA to approve that shed with just some language that basically says anything within, what was it, 10 or 15 feet of the shed that's currently disturbed, that it remain undisturbed in the future. And I think that was pretty much it. Hopefully I haven't forgotten too much, but maybe
Okay.
Mary and Diane can make sure that
Yeah, why don't
anything
I-
I've missed.
Why don't I do this? Brad, you have your hand up. What can,
No, I forgot to lower it from last time. Mr.
oh,
Chair.
okay. All right, well, questions. Mary, you were actually on the site visit?
Yes,
What you thought?
I think that the tree locations are all fine. We looked at them all, and I think, I would like to see a condition that that the stumps not be removed. At least the trees that are in our jurisdiction within 100 feet of the wetland, and Sam can identify those. And I agree with her interpretation of the shed. I think we wanted to also say, no, there was some clearing within 10 or 15 feet of the wetland boundary, or right up to the wetland boundary, actually some brush clearing and storage of brush. So we wanted to make sure that an area that was let's just say 15 feet from the wetland edge remain undisturbed, and that area not continue to be cleared.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is their original request to remove the trees is fine. And we're gonna memorialize the shed in some fashion, which just actually helps them out down the road. All right,
Yep.
all right, thank you, Mary. TJ, any questions in this one?
No, no questions.
Woody, any questions?
No, I don't have any questions. Thanks, Bob.
Okay, Brad, any questions?
All good. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mick, any questions in this one?
Just similar to the other sidewalk we were on, no, like bringing equipment into the wetlands, things like that. Did you guys discuss that during the sidewalk?
Yeah, they can do most of the work from the driveway.
Okay, good.
And I think most of the trees are gonna
Back.
require a crane.
Yep.
It's gonna be
Okay.
staged in the driveway.
Over the house. There was some additional, I forgot to mention, there's a construction of a sort of landscaped area in the backyard that had begun, and they were going to some landscape ties were put in the backyard in the buffer zone, and they're gonna kind of add some loam to flatten out that area. That was also in the buffer zone work. I guess I just
Sorry, that one, and we do have Haiti Kershaw's one of the property owners. That was previously existing though, right? And some of the ties are just being replaced, and then that area inside of it is being basically just regraded. So it's a previously disturbed area that was existing already, right? And you're on mute if.
bottom left. Should be a little microphone button.
Work.
Thank
Everything.
you. Yes, it was, we have not done nothing to it, except we just removed the plants that were there and we want to put stone just so we can use the area. Nothing has been removed from there. Is that what you want to know?
Yep.
Let- Yeah, nothing new has been done there. The railroad ties are just encompassing it, you know,
Mhm.
the same area that it was.
Okay. So Mick, I stopped with you. Diane, any questions on this one?
No, I just do recall we were talking about not doing any further grading or anything outside of the railroad tie area.
No,
And-
with it, no way.
Okay.
Yeah. That's all we want, just a little area to use.
Okay.
That's fine.
All right. So I have no questions. So just to do a recap.
Oh, looks like
it-
Nick has a comment.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I think you.
Yeah,
brought
just,
it in.
Oh, Mick, I'm sorry. I didn't see you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a quick question, for the homeowners. You had mentioned stone, replacing this area with pulling out plants or whatever, replacing with stone. Is that like a crushed stone, something permeable, or is it, patio
We're-
tiles?
What was there was hosta and lilies
Mhm.
throughout the whole area, and we pulled those up and replanted them. And we just want to put pea stone down so we can, you know, have chairs there, that kind of thing.
It's a permeable surface, not a hard.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay. Any other questions, team? All right. So let me see if I do a recap here. So all the trees that were proposed to be cut, we're in agreement. The stumps, Mary, we're thinking flush cut in our area of jurisdiction, where it's a couple of inches. That's
Yep.
what we've done before, I think.
Mhm.
And on the shed, we're just going to memorialize the shed with a no disturbance notation and a 15-foot radius around that. Is that pretty much?
The 15-foot radius is around the wetland boundary.
Okay. So no disturb within 15 feet of the wetland boundary.
Wetland, yep.
Okay. And does that cover everything, team?
I think it does.
Okay. Sam, do you have that content to?
Yep. Yep,
All right.
got all my notes taken. So I think I'm all set. The stump,
ready?
no stump removal.
All right, I'll
15
entertain
foot
a motion to issue a negative determination for 105 Scotland Road with the aforementioned conditions. Or
So moved.
second?
Second.
Okay, roll call vote. All those in favor, say aye. Mary,
Aye.
TJ,
Aye.
Woody,
Aye.
Brad,
Aye.
Mick,
Aye.
Diane,
Yes.
and Bob Connors votes yes. All right, next matter.
Thank
request
you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Have a good night. Request for determination of applicability for 4 Basin Front Drive for work to replace and expand the deck. Sam, can you provide an overview on this one?
Yep. Give me 1 second while I pull that up, hopefully. So this one is out on Plum Island. It is an existing,
How do I leave?
there we go. So it is an existing deck outside of the house. It is currently over, pretty much just over things like concrete, and there's some like lawn grass and stuff. I will bring that up. Hopefully this is gonna work. Having a few technical difficulties. Can you guys see that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so this is the existing deck. Like I said, it's over, you know, things like concrete. It's a currently disturbed area where the existing deck is. There's some lawn grass around it. Everything underneath it is all concrete or things that are not really, you know, significantly vegetated and stuff like that. So they are looking to, wrong way. They're looking to replace the existing deck and then they're going to extend the deck a little bit off to the side. And I think it was going from, I have the, I thought I had it in here. Where did it go? So it's existing 8 by 10, and they're going to extend it out to 10 by 14, total of 60 square feet of expansion. Not really going to be anything significant as far as disturbance goes. Deck's going to be elevated 30 inches, so that meets our requirements for the 2 feet of freeboard underneath it. And then they're going to be using diamond pier footings for the new footings that are going to go in, and no regrading or removal of vegetation. Concrete's going to be removed from the areas that it's going to be going over.
Okay, thank you, Sam. I actually did a site visit on this property, and it's a pretty typical Plum Island house lot where 99% of the lot is fully developed with probably unpermitted betterments today, but substantial concrete patios, hot top, regular lawn, concrete walks, and they're certainly in need of some improvements to their current wood structures, but I think this is fine, to be honest. So questions from the members? Mary, any questions on this one?
Is the only plan that we have the colored plan that? Okay, there's
So we have this
okay, that
one.
one. Yeah, I didn't see that in the drop. Oh, yes, I do. Okay.
Yeah, we have this one, and we also have this one as well.
Okay. All right. As long as we have enough detail to be able to show what the dimensions are, which looks like we do, then yep, I'm okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mary. TJ, any questions on this one?
No, I'm okay.
Okay, Woody, any questions on this one?
No questions, Bob. It sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you, Woody. Brad, any questions?
Straightforward. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you, Brad. Mick, any questions on this one?
No questions, no.
Okay, and Diane, any questions on this one?
No,
All right, and I have no questions. Sam, any raised hands from the public? I don't see anyone, but
I do not see any either.
all right, well, I'll entertain a motion to issue a negative determination for Basin Front Drive.
So
so
moved.
moved.
So
Second,
moved.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, all in favor, say aye. Mary,
Aye.
TJ,
Aye.
Woody,
Aye.
Brad,
Aye.
Mick,
Aye.
Diane,
yes.
and Bob Connors votes yes. All right. So, you know, it actually came, excuse me for 1 second. As the sun is going down, I'm running out of light here. I've got to go turn one of my lights on for a minute.
Ditto.
And Mary, did you say you were gonna have to step out?
I am at 7.
Okay,
So I may have to leave in the middle of this next item.
okay. Yeah, because I have 6:55 right now, so if you wanna go so you can get prepared for everything, if that would be helpful for you.
I probably should.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Good night, Mary. Thank you.
Thanks.
Aye.
All right, team. So we have DEP file number 0501413, 7 Marsh Avenue, for work to demolish an existing structure and conduct site cleanup. Sam, can you provide an overview on this one?
So this one was originally to do the demolition work and do site cleanup. We did get a revised site plan that I will let, we have TJ Melvin from Millennium Engineering and Peter LaRiviere, who's the property owner. And TJ is going to do the presentation for this one. We did get an updated site plan as well as an updated project narrative for this one. The updated site plan does have a proposed building going in. Part of the issue that was mentioned at their original hearing, was that essentially if they do the demolition for the structure that's currently in the riverfront area, if they do that demolition and then close that permit out, they don't get to retain any of that pre-existing nonconformity, that current development, and they won't get essentially the rights to rebuild in the same footprint or the same area as the existing structure that's being removed. Whereas if they do a proposal with a house proposed in the riverfront area, they get that redevelopment performance standard as opposed to a new development performance standard. And it looks like we do have a new proposal that's got a proposed building in it. And I will let TJ take over and do the presentation for that one.
Yeah. Hey, TJ, if you could just identify yourself and your place of employment. And if you're going to post the site plan, TJ?
Yes. Good evening, everyone. TJ Melvin with Millennium Engineering. Here with me today is Peter LaRiviere, the applicant. I will pull up my screen here. So Sam had mentioned after the last meeting, Peter and I kind of revisited the plan to move forward with this project. Initially, we were just proposing to remove this building and just loam and seed and move on. So we revised the plan to include a portion of a new dwelling within the 200-foot riverfront area. Show here's the limit of the 200-foot riverfront. Again, it's the existing structure here, showing a proposed tree line with some minimal grading through this area. And in this area, we're just kind of proposing to tear down the building and just restore this area. That's why we see the erosion control here. But in order to, limit our disturbance within the 200-foot, figured just removing that altogether would be beneficial. As far as the location, we're about 55 feet further from the river with the proposed dwelling than the existing. The septic system and all of the utilities will be outside the 200-foot riverfront, including the driveway. So it's really just this small lawn area here and a portion of the building. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions the commission may have.
Okay. TJ, is there a table showing the size of the existing footprint and proposed?
I do not have a table. I can tell you the existing footprint was about 650 square feet. This is slightly bigger than that, but I can get an exact number on that.
Okay. Well, let me open it up to questions. TJ, any questions for TJ on this matter?
TJ for TJ. So you're just gonna remove the old house, TJ, and what, we turn it back to grass, fill it or plant it, or what are you gonna do with the area?
Likely probably just restore it with some plantings, not really make it full-blown lawn. Just try to restore the closest disturbance points that we have.
Okay.
TJ, anything else?
No.
Okay, thank you. Woody, any questions for TJ on this?
Yes, is the driveway that's shown on that plan existing now? Is that an existing driveway?
Portions of it are. So if you can kind of see this light dash area here, that's the existing driveway. So we're trying to utilize it for the most part in the same location. It does kind of veer off onto an abutting lot that was part of the A&R for this project. But yeah, for the most part, we're following the driveway aside from the turnaround.
And that,
Okay.
TJ, that, the existing driveway is gravel, right?
Yeah, it's like a grass, sorry, not grass, like a gravel / dirt. It's definitely not big.
Okay, yeah, and it doesn't, just to note really quick that, so that, heavy dashed line that's going through, or both, I guess, heavy dash lines that are going through the house, those are the limit of our jurisdiction for conservation. That's the 200-foot riverfront and the buffer zone for the wetlands. So the part of the house and the entire driveway are outside of conservation jurisdiction.
Okay, Thank you, Sam. Woody, any other questions?
No, that's it. Thank you, Bob. Thank you.
Okay. Brad, any questions on this matter?
No, I'm good. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mick, any questions?
Just, I think, what is your potential schedule? We're kind of getting towards the end of the growing season to do any type of restoration work. So just, what is kind of your plan going forward and your schedule going forward?
Yeah, this is Peter LaRiviere. I would like to have it demolished sometime in October. I submitted the demolition and did all the asbestos remediation, things of that, so it's all been done. All that's with Peter. This was the last step. And then from here, I'm not sure exactly what else I'll need, but as soon as possible, as soon as I can get permission to start the work, I'll start it and hope to be done no later than the end of October. And then
I think I'm
going to sell the lot. I'm not building the future structure. I'm going to sell the lot, and then someone else will be responsible for designing and building a future structure.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. Just we need to consider how we're going to. I want to deal with any unstabilized areas over, say the fall and winter and into the spring, melt period. So we probably should consider that and whatever conditions or how we move forward with it.
Okay, thank you, Mick. Diane, any questions on this one?
I just had one because the proposed building looks a lot bigger than the existing structure, and I realize that you're not going to be building it. Are we approving any particular like square footage of structure at this point in time, or will that just come later with the new owner?
Well, we're approving, we're going to be referencing and approving the site plan that's been submitted. I think the way the house is bifurcated with what's jurisdictional and what's not.
Yeah.
I think the view here is moving the house out of the riverfront area as much as it is and putting it where it is a big improvement.
Agreed.
Mick, would you?
Yeah.
Would you agree with that?
I do. Yep.
But to answer your question, Diane, if we approve the plan as submitted and included into the the order of conditions, that would be the limit of the work that could be proposed in our jurisdiction. They could come back and amend it certainly at a later date, but okay. All right. So TJ, I think Mick raised a good question about, is there going to, do you have a planting schedule of what you're proposing? Are you talking, I mean, what's there now in this area? It's not, is it sulfide grass or what's there?
It's mud, but
okay.
Yeah, it's pretty much mud. There's some dead ash trees that's around the house. Yeah, it's pretty much mud. My intention was to take the house down, backfill the foundation, bring in some sod and hydroseed, and to grow back, some lawn type environment, if you will, in the interim. And then, as I said, as I market and sell the property, then the new owners would take it from there.
Okay. All right. So Sam, I think we would add conditions on what's going to be the vegetation that's going to be restored in place of the house. And what other thoughts do you have, Sam, circling back with you?
Yeah, I mean, usually if where there's going to be what's essentially going to be restoration, we would typically look for some sort of a planting plan. However, we have in the past not had any issues of basically approving and issuing the order of conditions with a condition added that prior to or no later than the time of the pre-construction site visit, a planting plan would have to be submitted that would be subject to review and approval by either myself or the commission, which I'm comfortable adding a condition like that for it. And then
Okay.
I think, other than that, I can't really think of anything off the top of my head aside from ensuring that, specifically because we are getting into, we're very, very quickly nearing the end of the planting season. We really shouldn't be doing any plantings not any later than like the next couple weeks typically. So I would say that, if we issue the order of conditions tonight, I can get it out pretty quickly, usually within a week or two now with the schedule that I have. And then with the appeals period and everything, we'd probably be looking at early to mid-October for that to be valid and ready to go. So if Peter is looking to do the demolition in October at some point, I would say maybe to add a condition that if that is the case, that the erosion controls would need to be remaining in place until such time that the plantings have been done and have been established basically and have taken, so that we can ensure that there's no issues over the winter. We've obviously had a very wet summer and it does not look like we are going to be getting any relief from the wet stuff coming in anytime soon. So I think it would definitely be reasonable to require that erosion controls stay in place until that area has been stabilized.
Okay. So basically, we're going to request the planting schedule prior to the pre-construction meeting. And that can be either approved by you or brought back to the commission. And we'll leave the erosion control measures in place until the planting in this. What do we want to have? What's the normal survival rate are we looking at? 75% on?
Yeah, we typically look for 75%.
Okay, so erosion control will remain in place until we have a survival rate of 75% of new plantings or ground cover. TJ, are you okay with that?
Yes.
Okay. All right, guys, any other questions on this?
Sorry. So it's typically 75% survivability within 2 years, 2 full growing seasons. So if they're planted, say, next spring, that summer would be the first growing season, the following summer would be the second. So the summer after that would be when we would go in and reevaluate that and make sure that they have stayed in place. And again, that's entirely based on the construction schedule and everything like that. So if
Right.
for whatever reason the construction doesn't get done this fall, it would ultimately be up to the applicant and his representatives to discuss that. Usually they would discuss it with me, and just make sure that we're aware of what's going on. If the demolition doesn't get done this season, I would typically suggest that you wait until the demolition is completed to do any of the plantings. Obviously, we would need to, but anything even in the surrounding area that got planted, you wouldn't want to do that until the demolition is complete.
Okay.
But it is typically 75% survivability for 2 full growing seasons or after 2 full growing seasons.
Okay.
And
Well,
So
I
is
think
that-
it's
is that-
food for thought for our special condition. Okay, Sam, are there any raised hands from the public at this time?
I do not see any. Peter does have his hand back up right now, though.
Peter?
Based on what Sam just described, does that limit the someone for submitting for a building permit and starting construction on the new home?
No.
And there's no guarantee that whoever buys the property will be inside the 200 feet. They may decide to build a home outside the 200 feet.
Right.
So-
Yep. Yep. And if that's the case, basically, if that ends up being the case, what you could essentially do would be to, if they wanted to build outside of it, they wouldn't really even need to come in for an amendment. They could just, as long as basically when they submitted the building permit for that, as long as they show, the building commissioner would typically task that over to me through Permit Link so I can take a look at it, and make sure that you're all set. I wouldn't be in, I don't think there would be any reason to request an amendment to be done. If you're gonna be building outside of our jurisdictional areas, there's no point. There's no need for us to review it. It's not in our jurisdiction. So if that was the case, essentially what you would do is finish all of the construction. And then once the construction is done, you would come in for the certificate of compliance once that 2 full growing seasons has passed. But that shouldn't have any impact on doing a building permit or anything.
Okay,
Peter, the order of conditions gets recorded and runs with the property and not with the owner. So once you transfer this property, if that is what you decide to do, it would be the new owner's responsibility to get a certificate of compliance for basically the survivability rate of the plantings, if they're not building within the jurisdiction.
okay.
Okay, so we have no raised hands from the public, Sam?
Nope, not that I can see.
Okay, all right. Do any members have a request for a site visit? Additional information or plan amendment, or adding additional content to the site plan or to the notice of intent?
No.
No.
Okay, hearing none. Is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, roll call vote. All in favor, say aye. TJ,
Aye.
Woody,
Aye.
Brad,
Aye.
Mick,
Aye.
Diane,
Yes.
and Bob Connors votes yes. All right. Well, I think we discussed generally our special conditions. Sam, why don't you read those back to us, if you would?
All right, so the first one that we discussed was that a planting plan shall be submitted a planting plan shall be submitted no later than the time of the pre-construction site visit and would be subject to review and approval by myself or the Conservation Commission. And the second one was that, and this is essentially going to be a reiteration of conditions that are already in our standard conditions that we already have, that basically says erosion controls have to stay in place until the site's been stabilized. I think it is worth it to specifically include that for this one, because we are looking at the potential for demolition to be done prior to the end of the growing season. So the erosion control should stay in place until the plantings have been installed, and 75% sustainability, 75% survivability over the course of 2 growing seasons has been confirmed.
Okay. All right. I'll entertain a motion to issue an order of conditions for 7 Marsh Avenue with the usual conditions and those additional special conditions just mentioned by Sam.
So moved.
Do we have a
Second.
second? Okay. All right, roll call vote. All those in favor say aye. TJ,
Aye.
Woody,
Aye.
Brad,
Aye.
Mick,
Aye.
Diane,
Yes.
and Bob Connors votes yes. Okay, thank you, Peter. Thank you, TJ.
Thank you all for your time.
All right, the next matter
Thank you.
is the public hearing on DEP file number 0501409, 18 Fordham Way, Blue Inn LLC, for after-the-fact approval of work to replace 2 sets of beach access stairs. Sam, could you give us an overview on this?
Yes, so this one, Tom has actually requested a continuance for this one again. We are still working on getting things all worked out from the DEP comments. Unfortunately, it's taking a little bit longer than he was expecting, trying to get things coordinated with DEP. It's kind of a funky situation. Typically, DEP doesn't really entertain discussing stuff with applicants, but in this particular case, because of some of the comments that we've received, and the fact that the commission has been agreeable to things that have been proposed and things that have been discussed, but it's stuff that DEP has specifically commented on, in particular, like the height of the stairs that have been installed. He wants to make sure that DEP understands the situation that we're currently in with that, and the existing conditions on the site. So Tom is working on getting all of that worked out. And he's also working on finishing up a beach management plan to be included with the notice of intent. So he is looking for a continuation for this one to our next meeting, which is October 3rd.
Okay. Team, do we have a motion to continue this public hearing until October 3rd?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Okay, roll call vote. All those in favor, say aye. TJ,
Aye.
Woody,
Aye.
Brad,
Aye.
Mick,
Aye.
Diane,
Yes.
and Bob Connors votes yes. All right, the next matter is public hearing for DEP file number 0501415, 3 Main Street, for work to construct a single-family dwelling, garage, driveway, and septic system with associated site work. Sam, can you give us an overview on this?
All right, so Mary's not here anymore, but she would probably remember doing the ANRAD for this project. We did it sometime last year. The ANRAD was done for 1 and 3 Main Street. This project is only for 3 Main Street. The structure that was previously on those properties has been demolished. It was outside of the buffer zone, so it was not in jurisdictional area. It has been demolished, so they are now looking to construct a new single-family home on the property for 3 Main Street. We did have the original site plan that we received. It sounds like there was a very honest mix-up with some layers in their CAD system not being activated. So the original ANRAD was approved with a vernal pool on the property. That vernal pool was not shown on the original site plans. The site plan has been updated to show that. It didn't really change a whole lot. So that's been added, and we do have those in the Dropbox. And we have Craig Marchanda from Marchanda Associates to do the presentation for this one.
All right, Craig, good evening. You could just state your name, your company, and do you want to put up a site plan or your package, Craig?
Sure, good evening. Craig Marchanda with Marchanda and Associates. I can gladly try to share my screen here. I can sort this thing out.
If you do, never mind, it looks like it's working.
Oh, okay,
If
good.
you need me to, I can share it. We can see your Zoom window right now.
Let me close all this other fun stuff. I have the site plan right here. And yeah, I appreciate the introduction, Sam. I think you covered it all well. And yeah, sorry again about that mix up on the plan. I'm glad we noticed it in our office before we were here tonight. And had somebody else notice. But yeah, it was just a frozen layer in AutoCAD. So is my site plan, my computer's thinking, I apologize, it's the dinosaur. But it should be loading any second here. But essentially what we're looking to do here is construct a single family house, detached garage, septic system, and your typical site grading for a single family. Here we go. Sorry, it was super slow. So what we have here is basically to the southeastern side or the right side of your screen is Main Street. We're proposing the driveway to come in essentially as far away from the resource area as possible. Obviously, we have limited frontage and real estate there to fit a driveway. We're generally trying to keep all the developed part of the site together to avoid going way up the hill in the back and creating more earthwork and disturbance. So as Sam mentioned, there is the wetland here shown that was approved under the ORAD referenced on the plan here. We have the file number along with the vernal pool inside of it. I can try to zoom in a little if people can't see if they need me to. I'm on a small screen, but those are large.
Is anybody else having a hard time hearing
May
you?
not need me to zoom in here.
Yes,
But we are
Blowing up.
and
Craig, you're kind of coming through muffled. We're having trouble actually following your presentation. I'm not sure if it's a
Okay.
internet gremlins or it's a mic.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably all what I have. I'm happy to answer any questions you guys may have.
Yep, I think, Craig, the issue is we missed about 80% of your presentation. It just seemed to have been garbled. Sam, is that, I mean, I think we probably all had that same, did anyone get the content of that presentation? It seemed pretty garbled.
No, I didn't get a lot of it.
Yeah. Craig, why don't you give us a refreshed version of that presentation, if you would? And Sam, you know what? Maybe it'd be easier if you put up the site plan on your end.
I'm sorry, I actually can't hear anybody. I don't know if I'm the only one with this problem.
Sounds like you might be. We can hear you now. Can you hear me now?
Craig, can you hear Bob Connors?
Are you touching me like that?
It sounds like he's still having some issues. I can hear him now. It actually sounds much better, but
Okay. Sam, you know, unfortunately, Craig may have to sign out and come back in.
yeah.
Not sure how we.
And also, unfortunately, I don't have, I don't know if I have a direct line for him.
Okay. What's on his plan, actually? I think.
So
Craig, can you hear us at all?
he's muted now. See if that works.
Right, Craig, you're muted if you can hear us. If you would unmute and confirm that you can hear us.
Yeah, I apologize. I can't hear anybody all of a sudden. I'm not sure why.
Craig, I'm going to make a suggestion. If you may have to just sign out and sign back in.
And it looks like you folks can hear me. I just can't hear anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah,
which is
I'm not sure how
bizarre.
we're gonna.
I don't have external speakers or anything. Let me see if I can fix this here. I apologize.
Well, I guess, I mean, for now we can, oh, it looks like he's signed out. So we'll see if he comes back in and hopefully we can get that working. But this is the site plan that we have. We'll close that so we can see this a little bit better. So, oops. So Main Street's down here. Driveway is going to be coming up. It actually, it looks like this doesn't have the buffer zone shown, does it?
I think it does if you zoom in. I actually went into the Dropbox when
Oh,
we were
yeah. Okay.
looking at it, and it
Yeah.
has the border of the BV and the vernal pool is
Yeah.
also there.
I apologize. It does. I was looking for darker lines and not seeing them. So it does
I
look like
blew it up.
the 100-foot buffer zone is up around here. And then we've got the actual wetland line going through here. So the looks like the driveway is going to kind of run roughly parallel with the 50-foot buffer zone, except for this area over here. It gets a little bit closer, this little turnaround. So it looks like it's going to be bituminous concrete for most of it, and then we're going to have some gravel up in this area that's also in the buffer zone. Septic system appears to be outside of the buffer zone entirely, from what I can tell.
It is.
And I don't want to interrupt
Rob.
Sam. This is Craig. I'm back in. I signed out and came back in. It's working now.
Awesome. All right, I
Yeah,
will
sorry
let you
about
take
that.
over then.
I apologize for whatever I missed. It looked like you guys could hear me, but I couldn't hear anybody. It was really weird. But signing out and signing back in did the trick, I guess.
All right. Why don't you give us a quick recap of your presentation, and then I'll open it up to questions to the members.
Sure. Yeah. So we're proposing a single-family dwelling with septic, associated utilities, water and electric mainly, a detached garage to the rear, And we're showing our entrance through the part of our frontage that's as far away from the resource area as possible. And we're trying to keep away from the resource area as much as we can with most of the driveway. And we tried to kind of consolidate our developed part of the site in that middle area to avoid going way up the hill in the back and disturbing more earth. Obviously, it'd be hard to get up there. And even up there, we're still limited to the area that's outside of the buffer zone, unfortunately, with the shape of the lot. So, and I caught at the end there, Sam was saying most of the driveway is bit conk. That is correct. We transitioned to gravel near the first corner of the house. Right around there, we show a transition to gravel the rest of the way to service the house and the detached garage. That's all gravel in there. And 3-bed house for what it's worth. And as you guys were just kind of touching upon, the septic is outside of the 100-foot buffer zone. And yeah, it's really all I have. I think happy to answer any questions. Hopefully I don't lose the audio this time.
Greg, what trees are you proposing to cut within the buffer?
Trees within the buffer.
Is there a tree schedule of what's being proposed for removal to make room for the house and driveway?
We didn't specifically locate trees. You'll see the gray cloud tree line symbol on the plan. That is kind of how it is today. So most of our grading is within the area that's cleared. Near the garage, the detached garage and the associated grading, there will be some clearing there. As you can see, the tree line goes through the garage right near the cursor. In a little bit of clearings required down the lower part of the screen below the gravel drive and right near that turnaround hammerhead there, as that goes within the tree line. The main drive-in is mostly cleared. You can see the tree line is near the property line on the high side and right along the erosion control on the low side there. So there will be some clearing in front of the house where it says proposed water service in that area. But yeah, we didn't identify specifically singular trees.
Okay. All right, let me open this up to questions for the members. TJ, any questions for Craig on this matter?
Yeah, Craig, so with the turnaround inside the buffer zone, you need to have that. Is that something that is, we have to clear all of that? Is there another way to do a turnaround further up that's not in the buffer zone?
It's a good question. We tried to put it there as that's where the buffer zone starts to kind of taper away a bit. Well, the wetland does more so, but the buffer zone kind of, when you offset the line, it doesn't help us much. The applicant, with his business, he has a large truck. He needs to work every day. And that was a good spot for him to be able to maneuver the truck in and out and get into his garage. And as we're having this call, one of the applicants reached out to me via text and said that, you know, the tree line shown on the plan is a little bit outdated. So there'll be less clearing required than what appears to be on the current plan in front of you. This is apparently an older tree line here. So there shouldn't be a whole lot of clearing. But to answer your question, I can inquire with the applicant to see if we could move that turnaround, but that was his proposed spot given the size of the truck. And he knows the maneuverability of it much better than I would.
Okay.
TJ, anything else?
No, that's it.
Thanks, TJ. Woody, any question?
No, I don't know. I don't have any questions right now. Thank you.
Okay. I'm going to circle back with everyone just before we move on this one. Mick, any questions on this matter?
Yeah, Craig, just seems counterintuitive, but what was the rationale for having the paved surface area in the drive within basically the 50-foot buffer line and then gravel outside of that? You would think it would be opposite. We'd want to maintain an impervious surface, you know, as close, you know, inside the buffer zone.
Yeah, I mean, certainly a fair question. This is at the request of the applicant. You certainly don't want to pave the whole thing. Just, I'm sure likely due to cost and a variety of reasons, the lack of a need. I think he wanted the bit conch up near the main road to be neater and cleaner, getting in and out.
Okay, so no kind of engineering background for that, just more client desire.
Yes, sir. And I believe we're showing a 12-foot wide. We're not showing anything massive, trying to keep it narrow.
The
And-
elevation at Main Street, Craig, and the elevation at the termination of the bituminous. What's the, what we got out there? Very hard to read.
Yeah, the last contour I can see on this plan without trying to open up AutoCAD and cause a big problem here would be the 64 contour, right where the cursor is.
Okay.
And where the transition from bit conch to gravel occurs, it is approximately a 68 contour. But that's quite a ways in. The slope is very insignificant.
Okay. Mick, any other questions?
Not right now. Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
Brad, any questions?
No, straightforward. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, Diane, any questions?
I just had one about the trees again. I mean, we've had
Yeah.
a couple people in that we've made them identify the trees that are to be taken down around houses. And for us, it seems like we'd just be giving carte blanche to say, just clear whatever without kind of are they required to remove trees, or can the construction be done without removal? Just for consistency purposes.
Yeah, I mean, Diane, I'm actually thinking we probably do need a site visit and get proposed trees marked that are within our jurisdiction.
Because if
and
I'm
the
another
methodology
person,
of removal.
I agree, just because I'd be saying, why do I have to come in and identify trees that I want to take down in the buffer zone, and then for this, they can just do
Okay.
whatever.
All right. So Craig, what I'm thinking is, our customer practice has been, if you're removing trees within the buffer, within the wetlands, that we hold a site visit, ask you to mark out the trees and number them. And we'll then evaluate their proximity and quantity. It certainly doesn't look like, I mean, you haven't identified them, but that's been our practice. So
Okay, is there
why don't I stop there? Sam, any follow-up questions from you?
So no questions, but I did want to note, so typically when we have somebody who's specifically coming in to remove trees for one reason or another, we ask them to identify them because that's all they're doing. Usually when we have somebody who's doing a development project like this, and I'm not saying that a site visit is, unnecessary. I think it's a completely reasonable request in this case where we are doing a new development project. But typically when we have somebody doing a development project like this, it's usually that they would mainly just identify what the limit of work is. And typically anything within that limit of work, whether it's jurisdictional or not, we assume that all of those trees and vegetation and stuff are most likely going to be disturbed. If there is anything specific that they're intending to keep, we usually have those get marked. So, say we have one really nice, mature tree that we want to save, or if they're particularly trying to kind of thin out what's existing with the specific intent of letting some of that understory start to grow up a little bit and mature on its own, we would have them mark stuff like that. But typically with development projects like this, because it's kind of a different situation, we have them mark the limit of work, and then anything within that, we assume that it's going to be disturbed to some extent, or that the vegetation is going to be removed to some extent.
Okay, thank you, Sam. So team, I'm going to suggest we have a site visit. I'd like to see it, and I appreciate Sam's comment on a development. This is a single family house and the plans is lacking a little bit of detail from my perspective, where we really can't ascertain the scope of removal of trees within jurisdiction. But that's my thought. Anyone have any requests to have a site visit on this one?
So move.
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay, so Craig, we're gonna ask for a site visit. I would feel more comfortable if you did identify the trees that you are planning on removing within the jurisdiction, either the buffer or wetlands. Outside of the buffer, certainly we don't have jurisdiction.
Okay, yeah, there'll certainly be nothing within the resource area, of course. With respect to identifying the trees within the buffer zone, do you have a minimum caliber you'd like us to identify?
Well, you know what it is. I mean, you haven't. This isn't staked out where the layout is.
Correct. It's not.
Okay.
But yeah,
I mean, I think we're looking for more disturbance within the buffer. To be honest with you, so.
Right.
I mean, is this mostly underbrush, or are we getting into 6, 8, 12, 18-inch caliper trees?
As it hasn't really been laid out, I can't tell you for certain, and certainly don't want to mislead
Okay.
you. But I have been told that the tree line we're showing here is certainly conservative, so there'll be less getting removed than it shows. But if there's a particular minimum size tree you're concerned about, we can identify trees that size or larger within the limit of work inside of the buffer zone. Otherwise, maybe my suggestion would be we just stake out the limit of work in those areas so we can see anything inside the limit of work will be removed.
Okay.
Yeah, I know in the past too, typically we've looked at anything 6-inch DBH and larger.
Okay.
Tend to be the things that we look for the most, because that's typically when trees start to get more mature and start to have more, for lack of a better term, usefulness.
Yeah, I was just gonna reach out to Mick, to our resident arborist. Mick, what would you like to see, or what's your suggestion on marking the trees, or the necessity to mark them to determine?
Yeah, I think just what I've seen in the past is if we're a construction site like this, you may run flagging saying anything north of this line is going to be removed. Like say at the edge of drive, defining the edge of drive and trees to be removed along that way. And yeah, usually 6 inches DBH or larger is what we're concerned about. Yeah, so I mean, if you're removing a bunch of trees along a drive line, say here, or a bunch of trees in front of the house, basically saying, okay, here's our line of demarcation. Anything north, anything this side of that line is going to be removed. It might be a little bit less labor intensive. That's because that's what I've seen in the past. So
right,
rather than marking every individual tree, kind of defining the edge of woodland. So.
Right, that was my suggestion as well, because also if I identified every individual tree, in order to show you where that falls on the plan, would have to have the surveyors locate them. A little bit more labor intensive. So I'll probably just suggest our surveyors go out and lay out the limit of work, and then we can see everything inside of the limit of work line will be altered in some fashion or removed, and we can certainly have a pretty good understanding of where we are with respect to the buffer zone. I think that'll be the easy part to figure out. So we can lay out the limit of work between our developed area and the resource area. I think that'll paint a pretty clear picture.
Okay. So Craig, we're going to need to continue this public hearing. Our next two available dates are October 3rd and October 17th. I guess, what time do you need to get your surveyor out there to take care of the task at hand?
We can get on that in a matter of days, I'm sure. It's more at the discretion of the commission's availability for a site walk that'll govern when we can be back, but I would assume we could probably be on the October 3rd hearing and hopefully have everything in order if you folks have time for a site walk.
Okay,
Maybe mid next week or later, I think would be certainly fine.
let me just look at the calendar here. So October 3rd. I mean, I guess we could just do this site walk Monday, October 2nd. And that's going to give you, what, about, well, it's going to give you about a dozen days to get. Let me stop there. Sam, what date works for you? And then let's start there. There's October,
Yeah,
October 2nd, Monday, October 2nd work?
the second would work for me. I also, you know, if we want to try to get out there earlier, Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday would be best.
Okay.
As far as next week goes, if we want to try to do it a little bit sooner.
Just thinking possible weather or getting out there, and if we do it on the 2nd, it certainly will be done, or we're continuing it anyway, so.
Or the 25th, Mr. Chair.
Yeah,
That's
it honestly, guys, it doesn't matter to me, whatever you prefer. If Craig thinks he can be, have this flagged by September 25th, we'll do it on the 25th.
Yes, I anticipate we should be able to do that, no problem. And I'm certainly happy to let Sam know if we can't for some reason, but I don't anticipate that being a problem.
Okay, well, why don't I do this? Why don't I entertain a motion to continue the public hearing to October 3rd?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor of continuing the public hearing, say aye. TJ?
Aye.
Woody?
Aye.
Brad?
Aye.
Nick?
Aye.
Diane?
Yes.
And Bob Connor says yes. All right, and team, proposed site visit will be Monday, September 25th. 8 o'clock or 8:30? What's the preference of? Sam, what's actually works for you? Do you start in Newbury on Monday?
I do. So pretty much all of my days, unless I need to rearrange my schedule for one town or another, I start in Newbury. I can make 8 a.m. work. 8 a.m. can be a little bit difficult. 8:30 is usually better. It gives me some time to get into the office if I need to first thing in the morning, and especially on a Monday, that's kind of helpful to be able to get into the office first.
Okay, so team, does September 25th at 8:30 work for everyone?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay,
And what's the address on this?
3 Main Street.
Okay.
So it's actually, it's right on the Georgetown line on Main Street.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Craig. I don't think, Sam, we don't need to take any further action on this. It's been continued.
No,
to
yeah,
October 1st.
we are
Okay,
all
great.
set.
Thank you. Thank you, Craig.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your time. I'll see you guys on the 25th.
Thank you.
All right, Sam, on 76 Cottage Road, did DEP assign a file number?
When I checked earlier today, it did not look like we had one. And usually it takes 24 hours. So even if one was issued today, we wouldn't see it
Right.
until tomorrow. I don't see anything from DEP on their website. But we do have the engineer that's doing the work in with us tonight.
Let me ask you a question, Sam. Do we know if the Board of Health has already reviewed and approved the design?
I'm not sure. Alec, do you know if have they seen it yet?
The Board of Health, we had to push to the following meeting.
Okay. All
Okay.
right. So it was originally scheduled to be
Yeah.
earlier, and
So Alec, the board's usual practice is if we don't have if we have an unassigned file number, we don't have the benefit of any technical comments. We can't take any final action on it today. And we're going to consider, we typically consider it an incomplete filing without those two information. You're welcome to make your presentation, well, you're welcome to, we're not going to respond to any questions because it's going to be deemed incomplete. Or we can just reschedule, continue this to the October 3rd meeting. And hopefully DEP and Board of Health will have chimed in and we can consider final action on the 3rd.
Yeah, I would prefer if we can just I can kind of present it for you because since the Board of Health got pushed, if I just kind of see what direction you have, and because we may have to go to redesign it because I'm waiting on some input from DP on the Board of Health side thing as well. So I just kind of, if we can present it a little bit just to see what direction you guys want to go, and we won't hold it to it, just to feel you guys out, and we can have a formal presentation after. That'd be appreciated.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to allow any questions from the members, Alec, because it's deemed an incomplete file without the file number or any technical comments from DEP. So it becomes a moot point from our standpoint. So you're welcome to make your presentation, but we're not going to entertain. I'm not going to entertain any questions from the members.
Okay, we'll postpone then. I guess we'll postpone to the probably going to be November meeting because the Board of Health's not going to meet until, unless you guys will allow me to present and for the Board of Health, you're going to wait till after my presentation with the Board of Health. Because I believe they're scheduled for October 19th now. And it seems like yours will be October 17th will be your meeting before that.
No, our meeting, it's October 17th or October 3rd or October 17th are our next two meetings.
Will you allow a hearing me to present it prior to the Board of Health?
Oh, yeah. What if you had a file number and we had technical comments or lack thereof, you could certainly make your presentation, entertain questions from the members, and we would hold final action till obviously to Board of Health gave you your written, your approval. So
that's
why
fine.
Why don't you just do this to October 3rd? You should be all set from a DEP standpoint from then.
Yep, that works for me. Then I guess one final thing, do you guys, because I haven't filed with Newbury before, do you guys typically do site walks or require 2 meetings on that? How do you guys typically go about that?
Honestly, our goal is to have everything ready for final action when we address it, and that just requires obviously having a file number and technical comments and Board of Health, because those are all the wild cards that will require some sort of modification or amendment. But
usually for a septic upgrade or a septic replacement, some of the members might stop by. I've already been out there and seen it.
Yeah.
Usually Mary will try to swing by at some point, just to take a look at the site. And it's, for anyone who does want to swing by, it's super easy to see everything. It's all very out in the open. So if anyone does want to swing by and take a look at it, it's real easy to look at. So
Alec, you're requesting a continuance of this matter to October 3rd.
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'll entertain a motion to continue the public hearing to October 3rd.
So moved.
Do we have a second? Okay. All those in favor say aye. TJ?
Aye.
Woody?
Aye.
Brad?
Aye.
Mick?
Aye.
Diane?
Yes.
Bob Connors votes yes. See you on October 3rd, Alec. Good luck.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right, buddy. Okay, and staff reports. Sam, how's the world treating you with this dual role now? You're like the wetland matriarch of Essex County now.
It's going really well so far. I definitely, there's quite a bit going on in both towns. We have a number of different issues that we're dealing with in Merrimack that are unfortunately a little bit complicated, but mostly just things that require some logistical planning and stuff like that. But so far everything seems to be going pretty good. It is, for anybody watching this later, just a heads up, it does tend to take me a little bit longer to get permits and paperwork out. As a friendly reminder, once things have been voted on by the commission and they voted to issue one way or another, I do have 21 full days to issue your paperwork from the date that it's approved. So even though I've gotten a lot of people in Newbury used to within a day or two being able to get paperwork, that might have been my own grave that I dug myself, but we do have 21 days to get things issued. Please be kind. I am human. Don't come after me. If it's 2 days later and you haven't seen your paperwork yet, I will get it out to you. I promise. I always get it out within that 21 days, but sometimes it takes me a little extra time.
Please let the commission know if anyone is being other than cordial.
So far, everybody has been very understanding. I have had a few people that have said, "Hey, is everything okay?" You know, you usually get stuff out really quick, and it's been a week and a half, and we haven't seen anything. We just want to make sure you're all good. You haven't forgotten. So everybody has been very kind so far. But I do know that a lot of people, especially people that do work in town a lot, have noticed that I've been a little bit more delayed. No additional delays, nothing that's getting us past that 21 days. So far, I've gotten everything out in plenty of time. But with trying to do both towns, my speed in which things are getting out has gotten a little bit slower, but everything is getting out in the timeframes that it should be getting out in, no later than 21 days after it's been approved or things have been voted on and issued. So everything is going really well so far. It's just things are taking me a little bit longer because I do have 2 towns to work with now. So, but so far things have been going pretty good. It took a month or so to really kind of settle into the schedule and everything, but so far it's, I haven't gotten any complaints yet. So hopefully.
All right, then. So we have our standing CSO release discussion, and I'm assuming with all this rain, we'll be getting the typical notices of releases.
Yeah,
baffling and maddening to all of us.
Yeah, I've gotten a few in the last couple days. I'm signed up for the code red alerts for West Newbury, actually, that they post something every single time we have a CSO release. One thing that I did want to mention, the town is currently in the process of doing our hazard mitigation plan. We're updating the hazard mitigation plan with MVPC. And I am on the team that's working on that. It's myself, the planning department, police, fire, board of health, Tracy's on it. We have a bunch of people on it. James from the DPW. And one of the things that has actually been mentioned to be included in the HMP is addressing CSO releases because it is considered part of our hazard array among things like flooding and erosion and fires and stuff like that. So that is a topic that's been included in the HMP that it's I don't know if it's necessarily going to be an attempt at addressing those issues because unfortunately they come from stuff that's outside. I think it's more of trying to mitigate the issues that come afterwards and dealing with the hazards that come with it and how to address those.
I think anything we do to keep the spotlight on the issue, keep it on the front burner is going to be good.
Yeah, and I know a lot of other towns are including it as well.
Yeah, it's to the point of just idiotic at this point. Sam, I'm going to suggest that either on the October 3rd or the October 17th meeting, we put on the agenda a discussion regarding the town of Newbury dock and pier policy adopted in October of 2020. We had talked about that and then during our summer schedule, and we wanted to.
Yes, and I realized on like Sunday after I'd already posted the agenda that we said we were going to put that on the September meetings.
Yeah. And listen, nothing changes. So why don't we do this? Depending on the agenda, the complexity of your agenda on the 3rd. If you have a light agenda, why don't you stick it in there? If it's going to be a long agenda, then maybe we'll pump it back to the 17th.
Okay.
Okay. All right, team. Final comments, everyone. Diane O'Brien, do you have your hand up? Or is that-
No,
Oh, no, you know what it is? It's my hand on you.
I'm like, what? No,
No,
She's-
no.
nobody, no.
Okay. Any final comments, Diane?
No.
Okay. TJ, any comments?
Oh, good.
Mick, how about yourself?
No, just Sam, the fact that you guys are working on this hazard mitigation plan, I have a decent amount of experience writing hazmat plans and like EPCs, exposure control plans, so I'd just be interested on either a progress report or if there's any public hearings or information, I'd just
Yeah,
let me know.
absolutely. That actually, I don't know what their time frame is looking like right now, but there is, so this is it's part of a federal requirement that we have to update
Yeah.
these every so many years. And part of that process does require basically public input sessions. And when those do start coming around, I am going to post announcements and everything on the website. I believe that they're going to go, most likely they would probably go through like select board, maybe planning process. I don't think it would be anything that would be specific to conservation. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I will definitely, as we get through that, I can provide some updates on where we're at as we go through the meetings with MVPC, and as we find out more about the public input sessions and everything, I can definitely provide some updates on that, and I'll put them up on the website as well as the public sessions come up.
Oh, great, thank you.
Sam, I took Mick's comments and I'll defer to Brad, that he was volunteering to help write some of this stuff. You know,
That's what I heard.
I
That's what I heard.
mean, thank you for your service, Mick.
Yeah, it's good for the soul to volunteer. I've going through a training program now. The more I volunteer, the more good. That's good for my well-being. So.
Okay,
But no,
TJ,
I wouldn't turn it down, but yeah.
TJ, any final comments?
Nope.
Woody, any final comments?
No, other than I'll see everyone at the sidewalk next Monday.
Okay, and Brad Duffin, you have the final comment.
No, Mr. Chair, thank you for all that you're doing, and Sam, appreciate all your efforts, not only for the town of
Doing a great
Newbury, but
job.
for the town of Merrimack. And Mr. Chair, thank you for keeping the CSO issue on the front burner. I had the opportunity this morning while walking my dog to see the spoils of the 2 inches of rain that we had in New England yesterday floating down the river right into my backyard. So I appreciate you keeping this on the front burner.
Thank you, Brad. Well, team, it is now 7:59 PM and I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. Okay, all those in favor, roll call. TJ,
Aye.
Woody,
Aye.
Brad,
Aye.
Mick,
All right.
Diane.
Yes, before 8
and
o'clock.
Bob Connors votes yes. What, Diane?
Said before 8 o'clock.
I know. You know, Brad had me on pins and needles. He had me on
No,
pins and
all good.
needles.
All good. Good night.
Good night, Sam. Thank you,
Night,
everyone.
everyone.
Good night.
Good night, Woody.